Guys, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with it because I might just get some black paint. Okay, as things go, just got to drill a hole now, there. Morning. What day? I don't even know what day it is. Thursday, Friday? Friday. It's probably Friday. And as you can see, we've riveted the plates on. So what I want to do next to this is get some wire brushes on a drill and just clean all this stuff off. And then put some blue paint over all the rough metal. And then I'm going to trim the liner up, put the liner back on. And that pretty much sums up where I'm going with this. I ain't going to do much more than that. I don't really. Managed to get it off with my big giant Milwaukee gun, you know, the real powerful one that I displayed last Christmas, but one that just would not undo, not for love nor money. So that had to be cut with grinder in the end. And I'll be honest with you guys, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with it because it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. Whoa. As you can see, it ain't good, is it? I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I should really officially replace it. I ain't got any metal lying around before anyone sits there and starts screaming at the television screen, build another one. No, I just don't have any steel. All my steel collection is there. That is it. The rest of it is on the rat rod. So, no. Not an option at this point. I really don't know what I'm going to do with it. I mean, what am I using the truck for? I mean, that's a question I've got to ask myself. I'm not planning to green lane. High def suspension, big mud plug and tyres, you know, the old Grizzlies, that sort of stuff. It doesn't need a winch, front and rear. It doesn't need any of that. It's just got one purpose in life. Well, several, but one particular one. When I get the rat rod done, we're going to tow. So we need a decent tow hitch that ain't going to break off the chassis. We need a bumper that we can get in, so as when we build the camper body to go in the back, we can put the camper on. Okay. So really need to keep it as street legal as I possibly can. Good morning, Saturday. I have marked out where I'm cutting. I did say in the community post that we were going to do a redesign. Unfortunately, there is so much rust, and I've lost, on this side especially, I've lost all my lineage that defines the shape, as is on this side. So I don't have a lot of choice. I don't even want to do this. If I'm honest with you, I would like to get some steel and make up a whole fresh bumper. But we don't have that luxury at the moment, so we're just going to have to make do with what we have. There's a few extra dents on here. That's probably why the plastic was hitting the tailgate. It's lost its shape a little bit, but I think it'll work. One thing about this bumper I don't like is it's way too chunky. In the days this was made, it was made against the styles of what was coming out with other manufacturers, so that probably explains why that rear bumper is so chunky and fat and overweight and doesn't really work for me anyway. I like the style. I have cut loads of slits, so I put a second piece of tape on, which is what that line there represents, cut that shape out, and then on the first piece of tape I'll cut slits, little stress relievers, and then I fold it over, and then where the corners are, where the corners overlap, I've then got the grind up cut and then hammered. So what I've got to do next is I've got to weld these up. I've got to weld that one up as best as possible because it went a bit wrong. Actually, it went very wrong. Weld in a triangle for that one, and then weld that one up, then grind it all back best as possible, and then we need to weld the slits up and then grind them back. There is no point using a flapper disc for that because I ain't got any anyway, but I'm planning to sand that chrome off anyhow with a flapper disc at some point, or a sanding disc, because we've got to bedline this. Right, let me turn that over. Yeah, the rough idea. There you go. And that's now created a little bit of extra shape. Got rid of the rust. I've made a metal template up so as the brackets can go back on accurately, and I'll chop those brackets about once I've welded this all about. And we're going to run a piece of tubing onto the back of this to the bracket. I don't think you need anything else other than that. Yeah, it ain't actually come out all that bad. Well, there you go, it's cut, it's welded, and it's bent. I've just got that side to do. So there you go. I've hit it with a belt sander as well to try and get those lines a tiny bit more correct. I've masked the other one, it's identical, so hopefully when I cut that one out everything will go smoothly. I've just got to put some tape around that, cut that first line out. I'm going to put less slits in at this time. I put too many in. One that was a pain in the neck to weld. Oh, this microphone's driving me up the wall. Bear with me. Well, I am afraid that's the best it's going to get. I've had to multiply weld up on the inside edges of those because they're just so rotten that it fell apart. Big area there. I mean, it was laminated metal, and when I was tapping everything and grinding, the vibration was going through. The metal was just falling off left, right and centre and leaving holes everywhere. So in the end, and it's quite disgraceful, but the only thing I could do was blob it up on both sides, that one being the worst. I can't do any more than that to it. I mean, I've hit my limit on ideas. I've changed it up a little bit. I haven't offered it up yet to see what it looked like, but I mean, that step is massive. Do they really need to make them that big? They're bright. We've cut the holes out for the spot lamps, and we are now trying to figure out how the hell I'm going to put one of these in with no space. I was going to put the plastic back down here. I was actually going to trim it all up because it's pretty well damaged. We hit a bit of a problem. The only place I can put that camera is there in order to get it centre. Can't put it anywhere else. It's just not going to work out. This gap here, I thought, well, maybe I'll slot it in it. Nope. That is for the spare wheel. The spare wheel is underneath the vehicle, and you need a jack handle to wind a winch that lowers the wheel. Though I need to lower the wheel anyway, I want to check the bracket because the rust underneath that vehicle, I'm a little concerned about the mounting point on that, so I want to check that at some point. So yeah, number plate I've already marked out, so I've got to cut into that plastic a little bit as well, and that's roughly where I think that camera can sit. I don't think I can put it anywhere else, but it comes with its own problems, and that's number plate. But if I go with checker plate on the bottom, and I've got a lovely bit already pre-bent there that I can use that'll overlap. that can overlap, so it'll look tidy-ish, you know. That bit, once I've wire brushed it back. If we put some etch primer over it, we can paint inside the gaps, then run the belt sander over the top, and it should work rather well, I think. Not a lot I can do with this back edge because it curves. Bit of a nuisance, massive nuisance if I'm honest. Well, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, 5 o'clock ish, might even be 6 o'clock thinking about it. And I have significantly jumped ahead without filming a lot of it because, well, frankly, I just wanted to get it done, you know. A little tired today, and I just thought, you know what, just get it done. So that's what I've done. Right, so we've sanded that chromey side down with the DA, that one, and scratched it all up deliberately. I mean, that's about as good as it's going to get, really. What else have we done? We've hammered the hell out of those with a hammer to break off all the large flakes, and then we've hit it with the big beastie, and we've literally descaled those two brackets and that, and then we hammerited that up, we etch primed that side up, and then we've hammerited that side up. After I hammerited those brackets, I suddenly thought to myself, why am I doing these now? Because I've got to cut them and re-weld them. Yeah, because obviously top bolting point there, bottom bolt point was down here. So, and I don't know which way round. Yeah, that bottom lug there has now got to be removed and altered. So, yeah, pain in the butt, that, isn't it? Anyway, camera mount 1, camera mount 2. They're in, they're ready. 2 pathetic holes drilled for the screwdriver to go in because I got one wrong. Don't matter, I've got rubber bands to go over them. Not a lot I can do about it, I'm afraid. I could weld them back up, but it's just not necessary. So we've got to clean the rest of this plastic up with the heat gun. This one I still don't know if I'm using at the moment. I've test fitted, oh, that's what fell on the floor. Yeah, I've test fitted the number plate. It will go on, but I've got to use the checker plate for the stamp. I can't use the plastic. Excuse me. Bloody microphone. Done. Just got to drill a hole now there, as I did there, and try not to muck it up like I did over here, hence the welded washer. And I think we're good to go. All I need to do then is quickly wire brush the angles down and stick some hammerite on. I love hammerite. As I said to you guys previously, I had an old gas pipe out the front, painted it red, and 25 years later it was still red. A little faded, but it was still red, and it weren't rusty. The stuff's good. I like it. I don't know what it's like with stone chips constantly, but I know for rust prevention it's pretty damn good, which is why I use it a lot. So there you go. Moving on. There we go. It's done. That is the first and only coat of black now on. Had to go a bit heavier around the outside edges because of the damage from the welding, but all in all it's okay. I mean, nothing to scream about, but it's okay, it works as long as it don't come out streaky. We'll be fine with it. If it is, I'll have to get an aerosol black and just scoot over it with that, just to take up some of the streakiness. And the one area I'm concerned about is that back area there, but there is a number plate going on, so really it's mainly that area where I think it's going to streak out a bit. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm quite happy. Bit chunky, I didn't want it that coarse, but kind of is what it is, isn't it? I did water it down a little bit with thinners to try and make it less coarse. It hasn't particularly worked well. Well, I did try and talk about this the other day, but the sound wasn't working, so I couldn't say much. But you'll notice that I've managed to nip that back in, so we dropped that completely off. We wire brushed and hit that with the hammer as hard as we could to get all the scaling off both sides, and we seem to have succeeded in that. We've wire brushed that all back, painted it all up, bolted it all back on. I'm rather happy with that, so we'll get that bumper fitted as soon as we possibly can. Okay, so we're going to try, well, we're going to try anything we're going to do. You can see that that has gone slightly black and that is still slightly grey, and you can see where I went over with the soldering iron flame in those gaps, because over this side I didn't quite get them. I still haven't quite got them. It needs a good scrub really, but you know what, I'm not going to worry too much about that. So we will get the lighter, one lighter, and we'll attempt to get this, the bottle. Oh, get this outside. Try and do this one-handed. Right, I'm going to have to put camera down a minute. There we go. Better than it was. Not brilliant, but it is definitely better than it was. So I'm just going to leave that out there to cool down a bit, and then I'll bring that back in the workshop. And this is still wet. It's this area here I went a little bit thick to hide some of the metal welding that I did, and unfortunately it separated on the primer that I put down, the etch primer. I've been assured that this stuff will stick to raw metal, but to be honest, it doesn't stick to everything solidly, unfortunately. I've already found that out on the lorry out the front. Most of it has adhered really well, but an area where water has constantly been streaming down has actually started to peel. So it's not the best, but it's good enough for what I need it for, do you know? I did cheat as well, just to make sure that I got rid of all the streakiness. I sprayed over the top with some satin black, which I'm going to do down there as well. just all I could really think of. Spare at the moment. Right, well, what can I do? I suppose all I can do is add this footage to the existing footage on the computer, and I can't touch this yet. It's still wet. I did this about 3 hours ago, and in places it's still excessively soft. The wrong temperature to be doing this, which is the other reason why I haven't picked up the rat rod, because it's just too wet. But we're losing it slowly to the weather. I'm going to have to address some of the issues soon. I'm going to have to do that windscreen framework. I've got to, even if it means putting perspex in. I can't do something because water's getting inside and it's destroying the floors. All that lovely work that I did and primed, and it's all destroyed. It's all rusty again. So I think what we'll do is we'll just hoover that all out when it's dry. I actually took a bolt out today to drain it, so we'll hoover it all up, and then I'm just going to have to smack hammerite down on the ground. Unfortunately, that's all I can think of for the moment. So yeah, I'm just looking. I just got to get a paintbrush black on the bumper. I missed a bit out the front on the bull bar. I just got to touch in. It's going to be rain all day tomorrow, so tomorrow I'll put this together if it's dry enough, and I'll start putting cameras in, and I'll get the lights wired together and make up a line that can reach in. Oh, God's sake, I've got to pull all that bloody console apart again to get the wiring in. Got to be a better way in doing this, isn't there? I wonder if I can actually... This is where I have it at the moment. I had to rivet down the tail ends because the plastic is very out of shape. It's an old piece of plastic, so it's not surprising. And I've still as yet got to run something through the centre here and here just to pull that down, because I think half the reason my tailgate's hitting is because it's bowing up. We've cut a little slit out there. The camera now fits there nicely. Everything is in place. I'm now currently getting ready to make up the checker plate piece to go on here. Once I've got that made, I'll wire brush the checker plate back, etch prime it, and then paint it black, and that will be riveted straight on top of this surface. I am half debating at the moment we'll clean this surface up and put black sealant down just to protect it. I could paint it, but I think water getting behind that and the two elements, aluminium and steel, I think it will eventually react and rot holes everywhere, which we don't want. Plastic would be the ideal thing to put back, but the problem is, because I've fitted my camera here, the number plate can't go back as high as it did before, which is why I've gone for the checker plate. That, as well as this is damaged beyond repair. I've only got the one clip. Someone's hacked the centre out. I mean, it's a mess. I was debating whether to try and get rid of all those ridges. No, I'm not even going to bother with that. So yeah, that's where I've got it at the moment. So I'm now going to quietly crack on with this. Okay, as things go, this is what we've achieved. But the problem is if I paint it, it's just going to rub off eventually and look untidy, especially along that edge there. If I leave it, it's going to get dirty. So I decided the best thing I can do with this is just bolt it on, 6 bolts, and then it can be removed. And I was going to use these countersunk jobbies here and go through the original holes underneath. So I've got to tip this thing over now, mark out, and then drill through, and then countersink, and then put them in, do them up, and we should be done. Okie dokes, that came out rather good, I think, considering. Yeah, pleased with that. Now comes the question, where is it? The number plate. Where the hell have I put it? And that, fellas, is the fabrication done. Hopefully Don't need to do no more. I might just get some black paint and paint over the top of those rivets just to hide them a little bit. I need to put an airline around it and get rid of all the dust. But for everything else, we're done. It's now just got to be bolted back on and wired up. Cameras shouldn't be too much trouble. What will be a pain in the butt is the lights, but I have something lined up for that. I get it. It takes a lot to impress some of you guys. I get it. I understand. Sometimes this is not going to be to everybody's tastes. But check that out. I'm rather pleased with that. For me, that has come out rather good. The only problem is now is the whole back half of this looks smashing, and the rest of it looks bleeding terrible. Dents in the tops of the doors, which you can see when you catch the sun. Badly painted wheel arches. I know for a fact the metal on that front bumper underneath is absolutely destroyed from rust. So we are going to have to think of something else. I'm not really sure what's going to work. I would like a more solid front bumper on this if I could get one, just for my own personal reasons. And my battery's about to drop again. So this is it. I can't get any more on this video because my computer is constantly crashing. So for now, this is it. I will come back over the weekend with another short video with all the electronics wired in. So we've got the rear switches done, the cameras will be on. I've got the lead for that now to plug up to the stereo. Everything will do what it's meant to do if the cameras are not damaged. The only thing I've got to do, I've got to move this one around a bit. It needs to be pointing down there and it isn't. Other than that, we're good to go. So, I'd very much like to say, thank you for your time and effort. I'm really, really pleased you're still with me, some of you. And I'll see you on the next lovely episode of the Nissan Navara. We are waiting for a valley gasket for the V8. As soon as that has come, I will crack on with that and put that up. See you later.